Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are going to solve Codeforces problem, friends or not. If you are new to my channel, I want to mention that my channel is dedicated to help people who are preparing for coding interviews or Java J2E interviews. On my channel, you will find lot of helpful material for Java J2E interviews as well as for coding interviews. There are over 200 different varieties of solved coding problems which were previously asked by Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Yahoo and many other big tech companies. You will find lot of those problems solved and explained on my channel with examples and Java code. So if you are preparing for Java J2 interviews or coding interviews, then my channel can definitely help you in your job interview preparation. So please subscribe to my channel. So let's look at the friends or not problem details, and then we'll look into examples and the Java solution for that problem. So Polycarpus has a hobby. He develops an unusual social network. His work is almost completed and there is only one more module to implement. The module which determines friends. Oh yes, in this social network, one won't have to add friends manually. Pairs of friends are deduced in the following way. Let's assume that user A sent user B a message at time t1 and user B sent user A a message at time 2. If 0 is less than t2 minus t1 is less than equal to d, then user B's message was an answer to user A's one. User A and user B are considered to be friends if A answered at least one of B's messages or B answered at least one of A's messages. You are given the log of messages in chronological order and a number d. Find all pairs of users who will be considered to be friends. So let's look into this first example. So we are given that there are four messages. So you can see these are the four messages and the d is equal to 1. D is equal to duration in which the user should respond if they are considered to be friend, right? So as you can see here, so number d is that actually. So in this first example, you can say that Vasya is messaging Petya at time 1, right? Petya is replying to Vasya at time 2. Similarly, Anya is sending message to Ivan at time 2 and Ivan is replying Anya at time 4. So this is the first example. So let's take this example over whiteboard and we will discuss how we can solve this problem. So here d is equal to 1, that is given to us, and there are four messages, right? So d is equal to 1. So what you can see that we will create one class called as message to hold this information, right? So hold this every record information. So what this record information tells us is this message is from Vasya and it is to Petya and it is at time 1 basically, right? So there are three fields we have to consider to create this class. So let's look at the class that I created for that. So the class I created to hold this information is message. So there are three fields, from, to and time, right? So from to is from friend to friend, and then time, what time the message is sent. So these are three fields. So this class I created to hold this every record information. So we will first go through this input array and we will create this array of messages, right? So we will create array of messages, and then what we will do is, for example, let's say we created one, like let's just assume that how it will look, right? So there is one message one. So message one is from, I'll just write a short form for this is from Vasya V and this is to Petya P, right? And it is at time 1, right? So this is a message 1. So let's just assume that this is our first object, message 1, right? So similarly, we have message 2 object here. So message 2 object is this one, right? Petya to Vasya at 2, right? So message is from Petya and message is to Vasya and it is at time 2, right? So this is another object that we created from this array, from this given information, right? Then the another third message will be from Anya to Ivan, right? So let's just quickly create this so I can explain you how we can solve this problem, right? So it will be easy for you to understand. So this is Anya and this is Ivan. So Anya to Ivan, the message is at time 2 and there is the last message M4. So M4 is at from Ivan to Anya, right, at time 4. So let's say this is the object that we created, and this is from Ivan to Anya at time 4. So we first will go through all this input. We created these 4 messages. Now what we will do after that is we will go through each of these message one by one, right, and we will compare with its previous message, right. So this one, for this message there is no previous message, so we cannot compare this with anything, right. So we will start comparing the messages from this one now, right. So this one we will compare with all the previous messages, right. So what we will compare is, we will compare if this message is, there is another previous message which is on the opposite side, right. So here this M2 is from Petya to Vasya, right. So if there is, there any message previously seen from Vasya to Petya, that's what we are checking, right. So Vasya to Petya we find one message. So we find one message which is opposite, right, means Vasya sent to Petya and at 1, right. So we will do 2 minus 1. So we wanted to check if it is a valid message for friendship, right. So 2 minus 1, it is equal to 1, right. It is equal to 1, and this is our D, so it should be, so this 1 is less than equal to D, right, was the, because D is 1, so it means that Vasya and Petya are friends, right. So we will add this information into set. So for that, we will create one class called as friends pair, right. Friends pair is, we will just have two fields here, s1 and s2. In this case, for example, Vasya and Petya is one pair, right, that we have to say that those are, this is a friends pair basically. So we just created one class, a friends pair, and we implemented hash code and equals method. And why we are doing that? Because we want to store this friends pair into a set, right. For example, I'll show you in detail, but now you can just look at this. So we are creating a hash set of friends pair. So to store any object into a set, then we have to implement hash code and equals method, right, because the set will use that method to compare if those are equal objects or not, right. So this friends pair we will create basically from this one. So we found one pair, Vasya and Petya, right. So one pair we found. Now we will go forward. Now we are looking at this M3. So this is Anya and Ivan. So we will check, this one against these two, right. Is there any message that we saw which is sent by Ivan to Anya previously? So this message, no, right. This is also no. So we will go and we will check forward now. So now we are at this M4. Now we will check, is there any message previously sent from Anya to Ivan, right. Is there any message? So this one is not valid message, this one is not valid message, but this message is a valid message, right, because this message is sent from in opposite web, right, Anya to Ivan. So this is from Ivan to Anya. So we are trying to find a message in previous messages which is sent by from Anya to Ivan. So we found this message at time 2. So we will calculate the difference between 4 and 2. So 4 minus 2 we will calculate. So 4 minus 2 is equal to 2, right. Is 2 less than equal to D? D is 1, right. D is equal to 1. So no, so 2 is not less than equal to D. So these two cannot be friends basically, because the message is not following, like the time duration is more than the D what is given to us, right. If they are sending a message within one time limit, then they can be friends. Now this one is taking 2 times, right, 2 time difference, so it's not, they are not friends basically. So in this case we will only find one pair, Vasya and Petya. As you can see, that's what they have given us. This is one pair, Petya and Vasya, or Vasya and Petya, you can write in any way, but this pair we will be storing in a set basically, right. And for that we have implemented a friends pair class, as I shown you here. So let's look at the logic of this problem. So it is the same logic that I just shown you in the example. So this is the same example we just saw. N is equal to 4, D is equal to 1, and this is the input, right. So this is the same input. So we will first create messages array, right, from this input. This message is class that we created here to hold the information, right. So from friend to friend and time. So we will go through all this input and we will read all this input and create messages objects, right, message objects array basically here, right. After that we will create a hash set of friends pair, right. Friend pair class is there. and we are going to use that friends pair. So we will iterate through all these messages array here. So we will get from and to, like from friend and to friend, right? And then we will get a time basically, right? And we actually will go from 0 to I. Now this one is from 0 to n, right? I is from 0 to n. So we are trying to find out if there is any previous pair, right? So finding any previous message, right? Previously sent message from uh, opposite friends, right? Opposite names of pair of friends, right? Of friends basically. So what I mean to say by this is, if we like here, if message is sending from Petya to Vasya, then we want to find out if there is any opposite pair message, which means that is there any message in previous messages which is from Vasya to Petya. That's what we are trying to find out, right? So this is the opposite way we are trying to find out basically here. Correct. So that's what our logic is. So once we find it here, we will compare this one. So name 2 we are going to compare with from, and name 1 we are compared with to, right? With this message, if it is matching, that this message is sent by opposite pair, right? Means the same pair, but it is in opposite way basically, correct? So at that time we will calculate the time here, and we will make sure that the time 2 minus time 1 should be greater than 0, and time 2 minus time 1 should be less than equal to d, right? Because then only they can be friends. If that is true, then we will just add that into pair set. Pair set is the friend set, right? Friend pair hash set. So here we will just create friend pair object of name 1 and name 2. You can create name 2 or and name 1 also, it doesn't matter, uh, because it's a pair class. And then we will just, this is our so at the end, after this for loop, we will just print how many friends we find here, and we will just iterate through all the set entries here, right? And we will just print those set entries here, right? So the class of friend pair is also pretty straightforward. It has only two fields here, as you can see, s1 and s2, right? And then we implemented hashcode method, which is pretty standard way of implementing it. We just use the prime number here, and then we are multiplying by prime number, and then we are just using strings hashcode method here, right? So this is a way we implemented hashcode and equals. And why we are implementing, because we want to store this friends pair object in a set, right? So it is required to implement hashcode and equals method in Java. Equals method is also pretty straightforward. If you look at this, like if this is equal to object, then it is equal to true. If object is null, then false. Then both classes we will compare. If they are not same, we will return false. Then we will get this object, and we are going to cast it to friends pair at other object, right? And then we will check these standard conditions that we check for equality. So if s1 is equal to null, then we will check if other dot s1, if it is not null, then return false. If s1 is not null, we wanted to make sure that this s1 is equal to others s1 value, right? Otherwise we will return false. Same thing we are doing for s2 here. If nothing is like returned, then we will return true. It means that both objects are same basically, right? So this is the way. The logic for solving the problem we already discussed here, how we are solving the problem, right? So how we are creating messages objects, and how we are actually going through all the previous past messages, right? Because we want to compare all the messages and see if there is any message which is sent during the time duration d that is given to us, right? Then they can be friends. So let's just execute this code and make sure it works. So it is working fine. 1 was and peta, we are getting 1 was and peta. So this can be reversed. So this is correct. So let's just make a small change here. Now why we did not get the other pair Anna and Ivan? Because their difference is 2, right? So if we make the time difference is equal to 2, then we will get 2 friends pair here now, right? So as you can see, now we are getting 2 friends pair, Vasta and Petta, and Anna and Ivan also is coming, because their time difference is 2, right? 4 minus 2 is 2, so they will also get picked up in this case, correct? So our solution works fine. So this is the way we can solve Codeforces problem, friends or not. If you are new to my channel, on my channel there is a playlist called as Codeforces, which has couple of solved Codeforces problem explained with Java code and examples. You can take a look into those problems. Also, there is a big playlist called as Leetcode and Leetcode solutions. Those problems are over 200 coding problems taken from previously asked interview questions by big tech companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Microsoft, and many others. You can go through that playlist. It has lots of different varieties of problems which are very important from coding interview perspective, such as graph problems, binary search tree problems, DFS BFS matrix problems, linked list string related coding interview questions, as well as dynamic programming related problems. So if you are preparing for any Java J2 interviews or coding interview, this channel can definitely help you in that. If you like this video, if you find it helpful and you like it the way it's created with whiteboarding, examples and Java code, then please give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel, because your subscription is really important to us. Because that is the way the videos can reach to more people who need help in solving coding questions of Java and J2E interviews. They can also look into these videos and get helped in how understanding how to approach different varieties of coding questions using Java, and what data structures and APIs to use to approach different coding questions in Java. They can learn from these videos and get help, because that is the main goal of the channel, is to help as many people as possible in their coding interviews and Java J2 interviews. If you like this video, please give it a like. Also, if you have any questions regarding the video, please put the questions below the description. Also, share this video with your friends and colleagues, and thanks for watching the video.